I get asked a lot about what outline a rider should have their horse in. And my answer is that they should have the horse in many and varied outlines, including during the dressage test, because if you think about it, the tests require a variety of outlines. If the horse is in collection, it will have a different profile, and in extension, one of the fundamental requirements is that the horse lengthens its frame, otherwise referred to as its neck. So it's important to be able to influence the horse so that the rider can select the most appropriate outline for the action that the horse is in. As an approximate guide, you could see 3 different outlines or profiles according to the 3 phases of my training sessions. The first phase that I would use in a training session, I would have the horse in what I call a neutral outline. So that is referring to the position and function of the horse's neck. It wouldn't be stretched down and it wouldn't be considered uphill. It would be in the position that the horse finds it most comfortable to be in, having just been tacked up and come out of the stable. During this phase, I encourage the horse to use the normal length of its neck, not stretched, not at the end of its range of movement, and certainly not using a lot of muscle contraction to take it uphill. The important thing during the first phase, when you're working with a neutral outline, is that you don't have a particularly strong or consistent rein contact with the horse. Because although we're warming up the horse's body, we've also got to think that we're warming up the horse's brain, the horse's neurons. And what we don't want him to do is already to start to become habituated to rein contact, in the sense that he will not respond to variations or stimuli or rein aids which we will require him to do in the next stage. Progressing on, the next stage, you would notice, if you were observing a training session with my horses, that they would take a more uphill position, so their necks would look more arched and raised. But this is where functionality of what is happening within the outline really dictates and determines what the outline is, because becoming uphill is not really a function of the horse's neck, it's a function of its hindquarter muscle skeletal system, where it will tilt its pelvis, step more underneath with the hind legs and carry more weight. The consequence of that is the horse's neck appears more uphill. When we talk about the horse being uphill and carrying weight on the hind legs in order to achieve that, this is, of course, all determined by the standard of the training of the horse, which can also be determined by the physical maturity and age of the horse and the strength of its muscles to carry that. So, for example, a 5-year-old horse or a young horse, I wouldn't expect to adopt as uphill a position as an older horse, because it wouldn't have the carrying capability of the hindquarters. The final appearance of the horse's outline in stage 3 of the training session would be what they call warm down, or the cooling down. Now, this is possible to stretch the horse's muscle fibres towards the end of a normal range of movement. It rarely is required to go beyond that range. And this is where a knowledge of anatomy is really helpful. But because the blood supply and the muscle function, contraction and lengthening of muscles will have happened during the working phase of the training session, the phase 2, it is perfectly okay and useful and beneficial to stretch the muscles, and this appearance would give a slightly more elongated or lengthening of the muscles compared to phase 1. I think the message I really want to help riders with, it's not about the outline, it's about the functionality within the outline. So that means what the horse is doing with his muscles, with his skeletal joints, that determines the shape of that outline. This is the fundamental principle. And how you influence a horse and help the horse learn is through horse learning theory, which when we're riding them comes down to the appropriate pressure and, most importantly, release of our leg aids, rein aids and seat aids to reward and hopefully try to repeat correct posture and correct function.